What is up, DTube Steam blockchain? So today I want to talk a little bit about a topic that I want to call Lambos and Cryptos, because I saw a DTube video where I heard I heard a fun line of no Lambos this week, and it was like joking a little bit about the whole crypto scene, especially the last 2 years, where no Lambo this week. Not this week either, because one of the big thing with crypto, at least the last 2 years, was people talked about Lambo and Moon and all of this, and then it seems like nothing is really happening. Now, my theory on this, and the way I'm now looking at it, is from more of the Bugatti perspective, because I start to see like, okay, this is extremely exponential technology, and when it's popping, it's gonna pop really hard. It's not gonna pop Lambo, it's more gonna pop Bugatti mode. So you can get a Lambo for maybe 50k, and maybe that was cool in the Bitcoin times, but now when we are getting these new cryptos where we can print like forever, it seems more like Bugatti mode, $5 million. That would basically be, and now I take the next 10 years in crypto, I think it's gonna 100x the first 10 years. So even these first 10 years, we have not gotten any adoption or anything. It looks like we're barely doing anything. But the next 10 years, I think we're gonna 100x what the Bitcoin did. Okay, and Bitcoin, I mean, do millions of people use Bitcoin daily? No. Do millions of people use Ethereum daily? No. So if you get a little bit of adoption, yeah, I think you can 100x whatever Bitcoin did with new cryptos. So that would be Bugatti mode. That would be like $5 million. So 50k these days is not that much. And now I talk about, like, if you look at it from global investment things, for example. So for example, we can take the Gram token. They had a 2018 ICO with 5 billion tokens. And basically they had a starting price of $4 for 1 gram token. Now they valued their whole thing at $20 billion, and they got $1.7 billion in. So it's like billions of dollars is pretty common in this industry. And if you look at the top cryptos at the moment, you can see that Dogecoin still is worth $250 million, so around $250 million. What that means basically is that almost anything can have a so-called market cap valuation of $100 million. And it looks like a blowfish. It looks like something that is doing something, but it's not really doing something. And that is fairly easy to have this like market cap thing there, because, well, if most tokens are not like in circulation, or if most tokens are not being traded on a daily basis, you can have this like insane number next to your crypto, but that doesn't mean that people can sell into the crypto. It doesn't mean that there is like buying volume. So for example, Bitcoin, for example, only have, like, you can only sell a few, I think $100 million, but then you start to run into problems, okay? Because it becomes like illiquid eventually. But the thing is, like, okay, so they talk like you can sell a couple of $100 million of Bitcoin, but then you start to run into, you know, illiquidity problems where the asset's going to drop so much in value that you may not even want to sell it. So a few $100 million can make it so you can have this fantasy number of like, oh, we have a market cap of $100+ billion, and we're going into massive many trillions of dollars. But it's not like you can buy and sell instantly into it without that asset super fluctuating price. So when I start to look at this more from the Bugatti perspective, it's more like, okay, you're gonna be poor in crypto for maybe 5 years, but then it's Bugatti mode. Like, you have so much that it becomes like absurd. Like even a Lambo becomes absurd, because $5 million you can buy 100 Lambos, and it's like it becomes a joke, right? It becomes a parody. Like, it almost becomes silly looking at this from that perspective. But in a scarcity society, a Lambo looks like magical, you know? It looks magical. You can probably lease one of these cars for a couple of grand a month, And if you just want to do that once a month, every year, I mean, it's fine, right? You don't have to spend this huge sum, right? So, so it's like, it's really very interesting. Also, one other aspect that I've been kind of considering is, okay, so next 10 years we're going to print more tokens, but we're also going to have another effect where people eventually, I think, just are going to hold the tokens, and I don't think, I think it's going to be less like sell pressure eventually, because when people eventually overflow with value, because it's worth pretty good, so they don't have to take everything out, eventually it should create a hoard effect, where people eventually just hoarding this forever, for eternity. And that's kind of like what I'm saying. So for example, Steam and Hive, they have a lot of automated systems, you know, and it just, value just keeps coming in, you know. EOS Dynasty, value just keeps coming in. Hex token, value just keeps coming in from the smart contract. So when you have these systems that just keep stacking forever, and you don't need to do like, or you know, and then we're gonna have the proof of brain tokens like DTC. When you combine all of this, it seems like it's going to create a massive hoard effect, where eventually a Lambo is not really that impressive anymore. Like, it's just like, and then people are probably going to say like, okay, but we don't even need the 50K. We're just going to do this once a month or once a week per year. Okay, a few grand. Okay, and have a little bit of fun. But it's not like they need to get it. Like, it's not like they need to be an owner of the Lambo. So the hoarding, I think the hoarding eventually creates like a Bugatti situation. Now, I don't know how much people are gonna make or whatever, but I mean, I can see what they're doing now, and they're doing pretty well, many people. And I see many cryptos also, like many people can like 10x or 30x their crypto in a very, very short amount of times. And that can be just a year. And then you start adding up, like, then you start to imagine like 5 years, like how much that can happen. Faster smartphones, faster blockchains. Like, do we really need more speed? No, we don't. But we need adoption, right? We need more people into this industry. That's what we need. Like, we already have so much speed, you know. We don't really need that much more of it. So, Lambos and Cryptos, very, very fun topics. But now it's almost moving into Bugattis and cryptos. And I don't know exactly how that's going to play out. I don't know what people are going to do with their value and whatever. But it's going to be interesting to see. So yeah, I talked about it in the past that renting shares seems to be very, very big things that people are mainly going to do in the future, because it doesn't make sense to own anything at all. Maybe eventually people just rent their phone, but it's like, I don't know, like people are already kind of doing that in many ways. So yeah, it's kind of fascinating to look at this. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. Hopefully you enjoyed. Have a great day, D2 and Steve.